Hey you! Do you appreciate animation as a creator-driven medium, inspiring cartoonists to create new and imaginative worlds? Well, of course you do. Why else would you be watching my show? I mean, it's not like I got Hypnotoad forcing you to do my biddings. Anyways, there's an independent series on YouTube called The Pennsylvania Pickle, created by Richard Davison. Follow the Cape Crusader from Pennsylvania as he fights crime along with Captain Common Sense as they take on foes such as the Balloon Bandit and the Big Stink. So go ahead, show them your support. All the links are in the description box below. You can check out their YouTube page, their Twitter, and their Facebook page. Go ahead and support creator-driven medium. Otherwise,
Hypnotoad commands you to do so.
I'm Joey.T.Cartoon.P, and you're watching a Cartoon Palooza editorial. This is a segment of the show where I talk about trends and news in animation, and sometimes the occasional theme in an animated movie. And it's interesting because looking back at my series, there has been one animator that I've managed to miss talking about within the 99 episodes of this series. I'm being specific, 99 episodes of the Cartoon Palooza, and I have yet to talk about Mike Judge. Mike Judge is a self-taught animator whose career in television is almost flawless. Almost. Beavis and Butthead was a cultural phenomenon. King of the Hill ran for over a decade and even today is pulling out the critically acclaimed show Silicon Valley. When you manage to create a show that's going on 3 seasons strong, following up Game of Thrones, you know you're doing something pretty good. With an amazing track record on television, his film career is more misses than hits. Don't get me wrong, a lot of these films are great, but never managed to break even at the box office, let alone get marketed properly. With Beavis and Butthead Do America, you give it a pass, since it's an extension of the TV series. Everything afterwards just seems to be films that don't get enough attention. With one of those cult classics not getting enough attention and becoming one of my favorite comedies of all time. That film being Office Space. Office Space is the cult classic from the late 90s, directed by Mike Judge. What makes me want to talk about this live-action comedy on a cartoon review series? Well, believe it or not, the movie is based on a series of animated shorts by Judge that are practically lifted verbatim into the film. So, fair game. Our main character Peter works at a job he hates, has an ungrateful pig of a boss, and has a girlfriend who he gets the feeling might be cheating on him.
Yeah, I get that feeling too, man.
He decides after a hypnotherapy session that he does what he pleases and slacks off at work. However, when he finds out his ignorance gets him promoted and his harder working friends fired, he tries to set things right by ripping off the company.
It's not just about me and my dream of doing nothing, it's about all of us together.
At the very least, it's a good comedy with sharp editing and sound design. With Judge's experience as a musician, he knows when to hit a beat and what music corresponds to a certain mood. I'll even go as far as to say that this was one of the first films to use gangster rap in unconventional ways that complements the mood the film is setting. Whether it be a montage of Peter's bliss,
damn, it feels good to be a gangster,
or destroying a faulty printer.
Back up in your ass with the resurrection. Is the group harder than an erection that shows no affection?
If you can see it as a funny comedy, you have to appreciate it as a great satire of the workforce that almost 20 years after it first came out, still manages to feel relevant. The beauty of Mike Judge's work is how his greatest material often comes from personal experiences. With King of the Hill, it was growing up in Texas. For the show Silicon Valley, it was working as a programmer in the title location. As for Beavis and Butthead and Idiocracy, well, let's just say he understands bubbling idiots. Office Space is no exception, where his frustrations as a programmer are easily conveyed by characters like Peter, Samir, and Michael. On the surface, Peter should have little to complain about. He gets paid and works in a field that's in demand. But the challenges comes from office politics, managing, and what exactly the job is. One doesn't have to look far for the film's message than looking at Peter's employer, Initech. After watching this movie dozens of times, I can't tell you what the purpose of Initech is. Now our main character can tell you what he does, but it doesn't describe the overall function of the agency. Now there have been plenty of hints and vague understanding of what anybody's working towards. When your company doesn't have a clear goal of what is expected of their employers, then there's gonna be problems. Peter has a job, but is never praised and mostly criticized for things you can argue aren't even his responsibility. It isn't until his realization that by wanting to do nothing, he's ironically having a clear goal of what nothing is. Unlike his job. The flip side is when you have an employee like Milton who does do his job and takes the brunt of the blame that isn't even his. And you know what happens? He still manages to get bullied further to the point where he's working for free.
I can set the building on fire.
It only makes the payoff of Milton's arc the more enjoyable, which I won't spoil since it's such a good payoff. Long story short, when there isn't a goal in place, then what's the point? What's disappointing is that not only does Initech represent a bad company, it's not too far from the truth. Whenever there's poor management in a company that doesn't respect its workers, it creates problems. It's a sad reality that doesn't just happen at the software companies, but for most jobs. There's a small parallel to the knockoff TGI Friday Jennifer Aniston's character worked at. She does her work and has to deal with criticism that isn't helpful, creating expectations that doesn't need to be. Judge even does this theme again in the show Silicon Valley. Most of the companies we follow on the show say they're creating software that will change the world and progress humanity, but they don't know how. But yet they keep saying they're gonna change the world and progress humanity. Comedy is what happens when a truth or reality is shown through another perspective, allowing us to see its absurdity. However, the truth rings high because it's a familiar place we see ourselves. People often see the main antagonist and Peter's boss Lumbergh as a great villain not because he's twirling a mustache wondering how he can steal the damsel in distress, mostly because he's bossing people around to do extra work while claiming it's his responsibility, like most managers. Because Lumbergh is a character most people see, he's easy to understand why we hate him. With a strong relatability in its characters, theme, and story, Office Space is a film I watch many times and still look forward to seeing. It embodies what people have to endure when they've reached burnout, providing the moviegoers some relief that we all have had to have crappy jobs in our lives. Throw in memorable lines, sharp editing, and fun characters, and Office Space is most definitely a film to check out at least more than once. And definitely for the quotable lines.
Uh-oh. Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
Seeing that Office Space deals with terrible workplaces, I want you in the comment section below to list off the worst job you've ever had. Comment and let me know. Now I'm Joey.T.Cartoon.P and thanks for watching the 99th episode of the Cartoon Palooza. Wait. I did mention that this was the 99th episode of the Cartoon Palooza, which means the next episode's gonna be the 100th episode of the Cartoon Palooza. And obviously, because this is gonna be a really big deal, I wanna know in the comment section below, after you answer the question, what type of movie should I review? Should I review an all-time classic animated film or show? Should I talk about an animated movie or show that doesn't get enough credit or has gotten way too much credit, putting it in the F category, or films that should just get bashed? Please, I'm dying to know because this is going to be a really big deal and I want to do something special. So thanks for tuning in and I'll see you guys next time on the Cartoon Palooza.